Hey y'all, good morning. Good morning. Happy Saturday morning to you all. I hope you're doing well. Now, I actually have my iPad on my dashboard, so I got to remember the camera is what right here. So if y'all see me looking over talking this way, okay, don't worry about it, y'all. Let's just focus on the message, okay? I want to say good morning to you. I hope that you're doing well. I'm gonna wait for. I know I'm coming on early. I was coming on at 10, but I said let me just go ahead while it's on my mind. I have a very busy day today, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, I know some of you all will be watching the replay. Okay, but regardless, thank you all so much for your support this morning. Okay, good morning. Good morning to you. Please say hello. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you can see me as well as hear me. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Good morning. Good morning to you. Please say hello. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you can see. All right. So the sound and everything is coming through good. All right, y'all. We're going to get started with our topic soon. I do want to say welcome to the channel. Thank you all so much for choosing to support me. If you are not a subscriber to the channel, I do want to invite you to subscribe, join our community. You all see, well, let me say this. Last night or early this morning, depending on which one you say, I made a post on the community tab. And at the time, I saw some things was going on in a particular country whose name I intentionally misspelled. Okay, y'all know how this platform is with certain topics and things. And at the time, I really didn't have all the details, but I said, you know what? Let me just put the story out there, the information out there. I knew something was going on. I didn't quite know what, who the key players were and everything. But I said, you know what? Let me put the story out there and let me ask the question. Okay, do any of you all, want to share your understanding, what's going on? It seemed to me at the time that it was a significant event, although I didn't have all the details. And so I wake up this morning and here we are. And there is now what looks like is unfolding in real time. Of course, there's several hours. Russia is several hours ahead of where I am here in the United States in Georgia. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, good morning, Junior Mustang. Thank you for being here. Listen, again, y'all, I have my iPad turned sideways, so I'm looking normally where, a camera would be, but I got to remember it's what right here, right? So if y'all see me talking and looking over this way, don't let that throw you off too much, okay? All right, thank you. Please make sure you like this video, share this video. Again, subscribe to the channel. Listen, y'all, I want to go ahead and get into our topic. Thank you all so much for tuning in, okay? I appreciate you all. Listen, I want to talk about the fact that in real time, okay, in real time, there is now a crisis unfolding in Russia. So we've talked about Russia as well as Ukraine several times here on the channel, right? I don't report on it every single day or even every single week. We see the things that they're saying is happening over there. Thank you so much for the thumbs up, okay? That lets me also know that you can hear me and see me. We hear the things that are unfolding. We see how, or at least I see how in the media, it seems to me, the media is, maybe leaning more so towards one side. We also have talked about here on the channel, and we've discussed how our country here in the United States, we're sending billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine to aid in what's being called this alleged Russia-Ukraine war. Okay, we've talked about all of these things, right? I want to bring you some information, some latest developments as we try to make sense of what exactly is going on. Let's see. Sorry about that, y'all. I'm in an area where there's a train, a very active train that goes by several times. So you probably hear the noise of the train. I just so happen to be in an area where if I go out, I'm going to be right in front of the train track. So I apologize for the sound, okay? All right, listen, y'all. In real time, I want to give you some updates as to what's going on, okay? Again, I intentionally misspelled Russia, okay? in the title of this video, because again, you know how this platform is. Okay. All right, listen, y'all. So I want to talk about Russian President Vladimir Putin. Okay. He is. So you're gonna hear me talk about, and I admit I need to do some research. I would love for you all to share any information that you would have regarding this topic, to contribute to this topic, to help us. Let me also say this, y'all. I'm not trying to put fear in anyone. You all know that's not the purpose of my channel. The purpose of my channel is to inform you, make you aware of what's going on, different things that are happening, different things that have happened, different things that are predicted to come, so that you can make a plan to protect and provide for your family. Okay. You're going to hear me talk about two main people, or groups rather. You're going to hear me refer to Russian President Vladimir Putin, as well as the Wagner Group. Okay, now that's who I need to do more research on. Okay, if you all know who the Wagner Group is, please let me know. I've never heard of them until now. You're going to hear me refer to, I don't want to mispronounce this person's name, but he is the leader, from my understanding, of the Wagner Group. His first name is capital Y-E-V-G-E-N-Y, Yevgeny. Okay. Again, I apologize if I mispronounced this person's name. Okay. Yevgeny Prigozhin. Last name capital Prigozhin. Okay. So again, talking about three main groups, or three main people. Okay. Russian President Vladimir Putin. You're going to also hear me mention the Wagner Group. Okay. And the leader of the Wagner Group, whose name is Y-E-V-G-E-N-Y, Yevgeny, okay, Prigozhin. Okay. Wow. Now, see, that's what I'm saying, you know, and I believe it, because, you know, it just seems like people don't really know what's going on. And like I said, there's so many hours ahead of us. The news that we are able to get, it seems, here in the United States, is so many hours behind. Now, I am actually using an international news source, and so they're actually giving real-time live updates. Okay. Let's talk about it, y'all. So the Russia-Ukraine war. Okay, what's going on now that we see seems to be an extension of the Russia-Ukraine war. Okay, let me actually share this live to the community tab so that others know that we are live. Okay, thank you all so much for tuning in. And what are your thoughts on that company actually turning off news for its citizens or residents? What do you all feel about that news? Should they be allowed to do that? What is the purpose of that? Do they not want people to really know what's going on? Okay, y'all, listen. Russian President Vladimir Putin, okay, this is according to my international news source. Russian President Vladimir Putin. Okay, so again, y'all, the news I'm sharing is not to scare you, okay? I'm making you aware of what's going on. Of course, most of this, if not all of this, is out of our control, right? We can't just all of a sudden, you and I can't all of a sudden stop what's happening, right? But what we can do is know what's going on, say, okay, well, maybe this is what's coming next, or based on this is likely to happen, and we can get in a position to where, if we're not already, protect our family, protect ourselves, our loved ones, and provide for them. Okay, many people, just from my research, are speculating that this could very well possibly catapult the world towards the next war. Okay, so I would like to know your thoughts on that as well. Listen, y'all. Okay, Russian President Vladimir Putin says, and I quote, armed mutiny by the Wagner Group is treason, adding that, and I quote, decisive action will be taken against them. Okay, so y'all, pretty much in a nutshell, okay, and please let me know if I'm misinterpreting what's happening. Just to give you some context, it seems like there is an attempted coup, okay, or overthrow of power, overthrow of government in that's going on in Russia. Okay, is that how you all understand it to be? Now, before I read this article, the way I understand it, and please let me know, is that there is a group called the Wagner Group, led by, let me say his name again, Yevgeny Prigozhin. This group was actually working along with Russia to allegedly fight against Ukraine, okay, if that's what you want to call it, okay? Now, for some reason, maybe I'll be able to get some more information. That group has now turned from fighting with Russia against Ukraine, to now fighting against Russia, so much so that they are attempting to overthrow President Vladimir Putin in his role as the leader and take over control of Russia. Okay, please let me know if that is correct. If let me know if that's how you interpret it. But let me keep reading, y'all. Okay. Now, the authorities in Moscow, okay, and the surrounding areas say they have declared and I quote, counterterrorism state of emergency. Okay, so that's why I titled this video, "There's a Crisis in Russia." It's actually a state of emergency, y'all. After Wagner boss Yevgeny Prigozhin claimed his forces were in control of military sites in Rostov. Okay. So again, y'all, these are real-time updates. I'm trying to start with the one maybe that is the latest and just kind of work my way up. Again, thank you all so much for your support. Okay. Let me keep going here. Okay, so I want to talk about who is Prigozhin, the Wagner chief taking on Russia's military. Again, this is my first time hearing of him. Maybe you've heard of him, maybe you've not. He is the head of the Russian private military contractor Wagner Group. Okay, this is who they are. And they have risen to prominence after taking an increasingly visible role in the war in Ukraine. Okay, so again, y'all, Yevgeny Prigozhin is the head of the Russian private military contractor Wagner Group. He has risen to prominence after taking an increasingly visible role in the war in Ukraine. His mercenaries, the Wagner Group, are fighting on behalf of Moscow after regular troops suffered heavy attrition and lost territory in humiliating setbacks. Okay, so he and his group are what I would consider additional aid to the Russian troops. Okay. Prigozhin, who the article says is the age of 62, was convicted of robbery. This is according to the news source. He was convicted of robbery and assault in 1981 and sentenced to 12 years in prison. Following his release, he opened a restaurant business in St. Petersburg in the 1990s. Okay, from my understanding, it was in that capacity that he got to know the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, then who at the time was the city's deputy mayor. Okay. The Voronezh region chief says Russian army taking action amid Wagner mutiny. The governor of Russia's Voronezh region says the army was taking, and I quote, necessary military measures in the region as part of a, and I quote, counter-terrorist operation declared after an armed mutiny by the Wagner mercenary group. Okay. Earlier on Saturday, okay, a Russian security source told Reuters news agency that Wagner fighters had taken control of military facilities in the city of Voronezh. Let me spell that for you if you want to look this up. Capital Voronezh, about 500 kilometers or 310 miles south of Moscow. Reuters could not independently confirm this assertion. Okay. The security in Moscow has tightened, and reports public activities are canceled. Okay. That's according to an Al Jazeera journalist. Al Jazeera's Yulia Shapovalova, reporting from the Russian capital. Moscow says security in the city has been beefed up. Here's a quote. And this person was quoted as saying, some armored personnel carriers and other armored vehicles can be seen on the streets of Moscow. Okay, the thumbnail of this video is one of those pictures. Okay, they have look like maybe the army vehicles. Okay, armored tanks. The quote continues by saying, and I quote, but generally people here say the capital looks pretty calm at the moment. Security measures have been tightened in Moscow, not just in Moscow, but in other regions of Russia as well. Okay, here are all the important facilities have been taken under security protection. There are also reports that all public activities have been canceled. Okay, this is an unfolding crisis, they're saying. Okay, according to the director at Defense Priorities, a think tank based in Washington, who says Russian leaders will be worried by the latest developments. Okay, he was quoted as telling Al Jazeera, and I quote, this is an unfolding crisis, and I don't think we have seen the end of it. Okay, the interesting question, this person was quoted as saying, is whether Prigozhin is acting as a lone wolf, which will be irrational. He hasn't shown any signs of that yet, or whether he is backed by other forces. We don't know, but it is something to watch. Okay, that's according to someone out of Washington. Now, my question is, I had that same question as well. What would be the motive or the reasons for something like this happening? Are there other people behind it? Now, it seems to me that the U.S. has been very vocal, um, and financially supportive in helping, Ukraine in this alleged war that's going on. And I say alleged because I don't know all the details. I don't know really what's going on. I have a lot of questions about that. So the fact that someone out of Washington had a comment about this in the way that they did is quite concerning. And who is Russia blaming? Okay, let's see if we can get some answers to that as well. Okay, Ukraine is said to also be closely following events in Russia. The Wagner development is being watched very, very closely, indeed, from the presidential administration to the military leadership. Okay, we know that the leader, the senior advisor, the leader of Ukraine, is Vladimir Zelensky. He points to obvious splits in the elites. This is according to someone who is a senior advisor to the Ukraine leader. He says he points to obvious splits in the elites in Russia and says everything is just beginning to happen now in Russia. Okay, they're quoted, the people in the leaders in Ukraine, leadership in Ukraine, was said, and I quote, they will be watching very closely. They'll be looking to try and decipher whether this creates any opportunities. Let me read this again, y'all. Okay, the senior advisor to Ukraine's leader, Vladimir Zelensky, was quoted as saying, the only comment thus far comes from the senior advisor. He points to obvious splits in the elites in Russia and says everything is just beginning to happen now in Russia. Okay. He continues his quote by saying they will be watching very closely. They'll be looking to try and decipher whether this creates any opportunities in the ongoing counteroffensive. The first question that they'll be asking, and we don't know the answer, is just how many of Wagner's forces have been redeployed from places on the battlefield. Okay. Other countries, okay, like Estonia, are boosting their security on the Russian border. Okay, Estonia has strengthened its border security and urges people not to travel to any part of neighboring Russia. Okay, so they have put that advisory out there as well. Okay, the Estonian Prime Minister Kaja Kallas was quoted as saying, this lady actually tweeted, I can assure that there is no direct threat to our country. Okay. Let's go to some more recent developments within the last few hours, or within the last hour. Okay. Russia's weakness is obvious. Okay. That's according to Zelensky, Ukrainian President Zelensky. I'm sorry. Let's see who made the comment on Twitter. Russia's weakness is obvious, full-scale weakness. Okay. And he was quoted as saying, the longer Russia keeps its troops and mercenaries on our land, the more chaos, pain, and problems it will have for itself. Okay. Later, he was quoted as saying. Please share your thoughts in the comments. Let me just pause just for a moment to give you all time to, if you want to make a comment in the chat. You can do that as well, okay? Now, the leader of the Wagner Group, okay, he is rejecting Russian President Vladimir Putin's accusation of treason, okay? He was quoted saying, regarding the betrayal of the motherland, the President Putin was deeply mistaken. We are patriots of our motherland. We fought and are fighting, all the fighters of PMC Wagner, and no one is going to turn themselves in at the request of the president, the FSB, or anyone else. Okay, that's what he was quoted saying in an audio message on Telegram. Okay, he also continued by saying, when we fought in Africa, we were told that we need Africa. When we were told that we were at war with Ukraine, we went and fought, but it turned out that ammunition, weapons, all the money that was put on them are also stolen, and officials are saving them for themselves just for the case that came today when someone goes to Moscow. Okay, listen at what he said, y'all. He later accused Russian forces of targeting concentrated areas with civilians because, and I quote, they can't hit the target and they hit anywhere, okay? Therefore, he was quoted as also saying, therefore we are patriots, and those who oppose us today are those who have gathered around the scum, okay? All right. Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Christopher White. I appreciate you, okay? You know what? I say that, you know what? I appreciate those who do support me, and I am going to, continue being consistent. I'm going to be myself and put out news. And, I know a lot of times many people do focus on the numbers, and that, to some degree that is important, but I just focus on putting out the information, being myself, putting out not only information, but solutions. And you know what, all of that will eventually come. So thank you so much for finding my channel and for your kind words, and I really appreciate your support, okay? Subscribe if you have not already subscribed, okay? I appreciate you. Let's see, okay? And I hope that you enjoyed not only this video, but the many, many videos I have here on the channel. Wow, okay, Junior Mustang, I'm reading your comment. We've had a lot of distractions. There are a lot of distractions, and we've talked about this before. There have been a lot of distractions happening. Now, I don't want to say that in a disrespectful way, because I don't mean it as that. There have been some stories, very tragic stories that have come out in the past few days. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. There have been stories that have come out, and I did share my thoughts regarding the Ocean Gate submersible, and it's very tragic. I pray for the families of the loved ones, victims. I pray for the families of the victims and their loved ones. A very tragic incident. I have a lot of questions, but we also know that it's times just like this, when there are so many things that are happening at one time, that we have to ask ourselves, okay, what else is going on in the world that we need to know about? There was another story came out, yesterday. This celebrity is arguing with this celebrity, and this person did this, and this person did that. What's going on that we need to know about that can impact our lives, whether in a positive way or negative way, okay? Times like this, where there seems like this is a story that they want everybody to focus on. This is headline news. Every hour something is coming out about it. You have, what I have learned, okay, and maybe you all can, share the same thing. What I have learned is, it seems like there's always a story, something, a few stories, not just one, but it seems like there are always stories, events, things that are happening that we need to know about that they're not necessarily going to tell us about, okay? Now, can we control what's happening right now in Russia, okay, and the attempted coup, overthrow of government and power? We can't control that. But what we can look ahead and say is, okay, what are some of the consequences that could come out of what's happening currently, okay? Does that mean for whatever reason, and I'm just throwing these out there, I'm not saying this is what's going to happen. Does that mean gas is about to get higher? Does that mean energy for us here in the United States is going to be higher, or energy around the world? Is that going to, are we going to pay more for that? Um, what happens to oil? Okay, if for, I don't know if we get oil from Russia, maybe you all can tell me, but is that going to affect oil prices? Okay, how is that, even though it's not happening, even though I don't live in Russia, you may not live in Russia, we need to ask ourselves, how is what's going on over there? Because we already know that our country, not at the decision of our own, right, individually, but we know that our country has been sending billions of dollars of aid to Ukraine, right? And now it seems like maybe what I would call one of the dominant forces, if not the dominant force, is in a state of emergency crisis because of the attempted overthrow of government. How is that going to impact us in the United States? Is gas going to be more expensive? Does that affect food shortages anyway? Does that, like I said earlier, will this catapult the United States and other countries now into a third world war? Okay, that's been a concern for quite some time now. Um, you know, about a coming third world war. Is this really the start of it? We don't know. I'm just asking the question. I'm not saying that it is, but I would encourage you, again, do you have your emergency food supply, your survival needs? Okay, I know at one time there were talks of nuclear threats and things like that concerning the area. Okay, could something like that be used? And again, how will that affect our way of living here in the United States? Okay, I hope I'm sharing some points, some things for you to think about. Listen to this, y'all. Okay, let me give some more updates. Okay, listen to this, y'all. Okay, just within the last 12 minutes, okay, this information came out. Speaking of the United States, the U.S. is now said to coordinate with allies amid the Wagner crisis. Listen to this, y'all, okay? Washington, okay, this is coming from my news source. Washington will stay, and I quote, in close coordination with its group of 7 allies amid the unfolding crisis in Russia, where Wagner mercenaries launched a mutiny, okay, officials have said. Listen to this, y'all, okay? I just looked at this again, okay? The U.S. is now, Washington is saying that the U.S., and I quote, will stay in close coordination with its group of 7 allies amid the unfolding crisis in Russia, where Wagner mercenaries launched a mutiny, officials have said. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller said in a statement that support for Ukraine, and I quote, will not change, okay? U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken also said he spoke with G7 foreign ministers and the EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs, okay? Antony Blinken put this out in a tweet. He said, and I quote, the United States will stay in close coordination with allies and partners as the situation continues to develop. That's according to our Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, okay? He also said, and I quote on Twitter, spoke today with G7 foreign ministers and the EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy to discuss the ongoing situation in Russia. The United States will stay in close coordination with allies and partners as the situation continues to develop. Okay? Iran, listen to this, y'all. Iran has said that it supports rule of law in Russia. Now, what does that mean? Okay? Iran, according to my news source, Iran supports the rule of law in the Russian Federation and considers the latest developments that are an internal Russian matter. Okay, Iranian state media quoted Foreign Ministry spokesperson Nasir Kanani as saying on Saturday, okay, could Ukraine take advantage of the Wagner crisis? That's a question that came out within the last hour. And someone was quoted, an associate fellow at Chatham House, who spoke to Al Jazeera from London, Jamie Shea, was quoted as saying, and I quote, a lot depends on what plays out in Russia over the next few hours and days, and the extent to which Prigozhin, having sort of started this mutiny, as Putin calls it, is really able to sort of turn it into an effective result, maybe persuading more of the Russian army to desert to his cause. There's no sign of that feet on the ground. Russia still has three, which is enormous. Okay. Russian soldiers. Okay, this has also come out within the last hour. Russian soldiers set up machine gun position on Moscow outskirts. According to photographs, it says published by the Vito Masti newspaper. Photographs also showed armed police gathering at the point where the M4 highway, which mutinous Wagner mercenaries are moving along, reaches the Russian capital. Okay. Within the last hour, this has also come out. Wagner fighters took Rostov Army headquarters without firing a shot. Let's see. Mutinous Russian mercenary boss Yevgeny Prigozhin says his troops did not need to fire a single shot when they took control of the headquarters of Russia's southern military district in Rostov. Okay, this has come out within the last hour. Hold on, y'all. Just y'all, playing with my live stream. Okay. Okay, you all should be able to hear me and see me, right? I think so. Okay. All right, y'all, listen. Okay, I may have to start using some keywords again because for some reason my live stream is losing connection. Okay, I don't know what's going on, but we know how things can be on this platform. Okay, thank you all so much, everyone who's tuning in now. Please make sure that you like this video, share this video. I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed, and stay connected. Okay. Listen, y'all. Okay, so again, Wagner fighters took Rostov Army headquarters without firing a single shot. However, he said his men had been fired on by artillery and helicopters en route to Rostov. Okay, that's ROSTOV. Okay, so within the last hour, they are now saying that the Wagner fighters have took Rostov, ROSTOV, which is the Army headquarters. Okay, the Russian Army headquarters. Okay. He said he thought he had the support of the Russian people for what he calls his march of justice. Okay, so the leader of the Wagner group, Yevgeny Prigozhin, is now calling this his, and I quote, march of justice. Okay. Let's see. Hold on, y'all. I gotta sneeze. Excuse me. Excuse me, y'all. Hold on. This is live, y'all. Okay. Okay. Prigozhin, within the last hour, is said to be using, and I quote, takeover of Rostov facility as a form of a bargaining chip. Okay, let's see what this is about, y'all. Okay, speaking to Al Jazeera, Samuel Ramini, an associate fellow at the Royal United States United Services Institute, which is a UK-based think tank, says the leader of the Wagner Group may be using the takeover of military facilities as a bargaining chip. Okay. He was quoted as saying he is using the takeover of Rostov facility as a form of a bargaining chip. He is threatening to make a large advance on Moscow. He is using the threat of further military incursions and possible defections from the Russian National Guard as a bargaining chip. Okay. Pro-war nationalists in Russia say they will publish an action plan to protect the country. Let's see. You all, please let me know if you can still see me and hear me. My connection for some reason is going in and out now. Okay, this will be the last part that I cover, y'all, and then I got to get on my way. I'll bring you some more updates, but they're also saying that through all of this, right, Putin is working in the Kremlin as the mutiny continues. Okay, so Putin is working as usual in the Kremlin. His spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, has told the state-run RIA Novosti news agency after Wagner units claimed to have captured military installations in southern Russia. The Russian president earlier accused Wagner of treason in a national televised address after the paramilitary fighters crossed the border from Ukraine into Russia, entering the city of Rostov-on-Don. Okay, and we know as of now, according to news reports, Oh, y'all, is the live stream frozen? Okay, it's not frozen. Okay, so that's what's happening. So again, the question that I have is, what's really going on? We hear the reports. Why is this happening? Uh, is there anyone? Is Wagner Group? Another question I have is the Wagner Group acting as the lone people, or are there others behind it? The U.S. has now inserted themselves into the picture by saying, "Hey, we're gonna, basically keep a close eye, close watch on what's happening." What could potentially be the next move by the United States? Another question I have is, could this potentially catapult us to the beginning of World War III? And how will this impact us here in the United States and as well as globally? Okay, you all, please let me know your thoughts. Would anyone like to say something before I end the live? Again, I appreciate you all so much for coming on this morning, doing a quick live with me. Thank you all so much. For if you're new to the channel, welcome, welcome. Please take a moment to look over my current videos as well as all the past videos that I have recorded. Okay, could you explain more what you mean about the special forces, and what does this mean next for us here in the United States? Okay, um, if you want to follow this story as well after this broadcast, the news source that I used was Al Jazeera, which is an international news source. Um, so on CNBC, y'all, Putin is accusing, we've already said he's accused Wagner mercenaries of treason. He's now vowing to punish the takeover of key Russian city. Okay. He says the rebellion will be punished. Um, let's see what else is going on. Okay. Putin also described the situation in Rostov-on-Don, a critical city in southwestern Russia near Ukraine, as difficult, but said he would seek to stabilize the situation there. Okay. If you're, thank you all so much. If you're just coming on, welcome, welcome. I've been giving you some live up to date, minute by minute coverage within the last hour of the crisis that's happening in Russia. So if you're just joining, okay, sorry y'all, the live stream. Okay, y'all, it's not frozen. I'm just typing something in the chat. Okay. It's kind of windy where I am. Okay. All right, y'all. So please make sure that you visit the description of, or take a look at the description of this video. I have some helpful links. Again, y'all, this is a time, if you have not already, okay, you can, if you have not already, this is another example. Okay, we know that there are many of them, but this is another example of why we need to make sure we have our emergency food supply, our survival needs. We don't know how this is going to impact us here in the United States. Um, we just don't know, right? And so, again, make sure you have your emergency food supply, your survival needs. Make sure you have water as a part of your survival needs. Again, I'm Always going to speak about the importance of knowing what's in your food, growing your own food. Y'all, food, it seems like there's an attack. Um, there's a continuance of an attack on our food supply. Okay, make sure you check out some of the videos here on the channel. Even on the communities tab, I've shared older videos where I've talked about how there's an attack on our food supply. So much so that the U.S. is now resorting to selling lab grown meat. Okay. Anyone have any questions? There was a comment that came up. Okay. If you would like to support the channel and the growth of the channel, I did put a link to a tip jar. Okay. I had a subscriber. I had someone ask me about a tip jar before. So I did create a Cash App for the channel. And the Cash App is $Andrea Speaks TV. Okay. Thank you all to those who support the channel in any form of fashion, whether it's monetarily, liking the videos, sharing the videos, leaving a comment. Thank you all so much for how you contribute to the channel. Okay. Let's see. Anyone would like to share their thoughts? There was a comment that came through. Let's see. Okay. Wow. Okay. So we gave them the courage to rebel on their promise that we were protecting. Wow. So do you all think that this is the start of World War III? Okay. You all let me know. I'm probably going to ask that as a poll question. Okay. Because I would be curious to know your thoughts on that. Okay. All right, y'all. Take care. Be blessed. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful Saturday. I have a lot to do today. I'm about to get started. So again, I want to say thank you all so much for your support of the channel. Make sure you like this video, share this video, and subscribe to the channel, okay? Take care, y'all. Who would have known that in 2023, our country would be the way that it? Don't get me wrong now. There are still some great things that are happening, great people in our country. But overall, as a state of our union, okay, a state of our country, who would have thought that we would have been in the position, our country would be in the state that it's in now, okay? Let me know your thoughts, y'all. Take care, be blessed, stay safe. And stay tuned for more news and commentary you can use right here on Andrea Speaks TV.